You are about to listen to another episode of That Sports Guys podcast, hosted by Craig Forrestall. Find Craig on Twitter at that_sports_guy. The That Sports Guys podcast is proudly featured by NFL Draft Diamonds, your draft coverage king. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some football talk.
Hello and welcome to another episode of That Sports Guys podcast. I am Craig Forrestall. You may know me from Twitter as at that_sports_guy. But today it is all about Gavin Dineen, defensive tackle from Drake University that is now in the transfer portal. Gavin, what is going on, man?
Nothing much, Craig. Thanks for having me on. Pleasure to be on, talk a little football with you, so I'm excited about it.
Hey, I'm excited too, but it seems like we've actually been in the same building before, but way different time frames. I actually went to the same high school you attended, Marion Central Catholic in Woodstock, Illinois. So it's a small world. I would sit here and ask you about some of the teachers that you had, but I have a funny feeling we didn't have a whole lot of overlap. I'm about 10 to 12 years older than you. So we'll go ahead and we'll keep that for a different day. But like I said, we're from the same neck of the woods, Gavin. Algonquin, Illinois, suburban Chicago. What's it like growing up there?
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. I actually moved a lot as a kid. So I lived over in Cary, which is pretty similar to Algonquin. Moved all the way out in Arizona. So I've had my fair share of places to grow up in. But Algonquin was really good, and it's definitely I was blessed with a great situation growing up, support from my parents, and great friends. So definitely a great community to grow up in, and had a lot of opportunity play various sports, baseball, football, basketball. So being able to do that, and then you get it. As going to Marion, there's just a lot of fun things to do around the area. So yeah, it's definitely a great place to grow up, and I'm blessed to have been where I've been. So
yeah, like you said, a lot of fun things because Marion is the only Catholic high school in our area. So kids from all over the county go to that school. So like you said, there's always something to do no matter what because people are coming from all over. And I want to ask you about that school. Marion's a very small high school, roughly 600 to 700 students at a time is the enrollment. And it's tucked away on the Wisconsin-Illinois border, about 20 minutes south of the Wisconsin state line. But the football tradition is undeniable. Two former students, Brian Balaga and Chris Strevler, are currently on NFL rosters. There's loads of former players that have played at the Division I level, including yourself. Gavin, what is it about that program that allows them to continuously produce top-notch talent?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of said it. They're definitely pulling from such a big area. I know Streller's from Crystal Lake. I'm pretty sure Balaga is too. So definitely pulling from all those areas helps. But it's definitely just a great culture. Something that we've been able to build on. So when you show up to a program, it's not about us; it's about the guys that have come before you. So it's just kind of an immense pressure every single year that if you don't win a lot of games, they're going to have the alumni that are pretty mad. And there's even you said Strevler, who's someone that everyone in our age groups. I played with him my sophomore year. He was a senior, so he's only a few years older than me. So that was pretty cool. But there's guys like that, aren't playing in the NFL, but we're very solid high school football players that, they're, dialed into Marion football every Friday after they're gone. So you're just trying not to disappoint them and, try to continue the tradition. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing going there. And, I'm lucky to have played there. So.
Now, I want to stick there because you talked about growing up in Algonquin and how you had the opportunity to play a bunch of different sports. And you competed in baseball throughout your time in high school. What did baseball mean to you growing up, and how good were you?
Yeah, baseball is something my dad kind of instilled in me. He played college baseball and actually coached a little bit over at Harper College in the area. So something that is definitely my number one sport growing up. Thought that was going to be, what I played in college, all the way up until junior year. Going into my junior year, I mean, I wasn't even that big of a football guy, but something about running out of the tunnel at Marion and, having everyone screaming and being able to be violent definitely changed my mind a little bit. So I got a little more fired up, and that's when I ultimately knew that football was going to be, what I wanted to keep playing. But I think I was all right at baseball. I got to play, travel ball all growing up, and I thought that was going to be what I was going to do in college, but like I said, I kind of fell in love with football junior year, and that's what I decided to go with. So.
And now, just real quick, I might have missed it, but what position did you play?
Oh yeah, so at the beginning of high school, that's when I was playing everything. I was pitching, playing third, playing first, and then kind of going to football. I started I'm playing offensive, defensive line, and the East Suburban Catholic Conference, which is pretty good football in Illinois. Anyone who knows high school football knows that it's a pretty competitive schedule. So that's when I started getting bigger. So it's hard to be 270 and be playing all around the field. So I was playing primarily pitcher my junior and senior year, just being a PO. So I had more time to just lift weights and kind of keep my foot in on baseball, but also be primarily focused on football. So.
And Gavin, you have quite an amount of siblings as well. I saw that you grew up with 3 sisters. So now, were there constant battles growing up for who got the car on a Friday night, or hot water for a shower, or anything else that you always hear from people with a bunch of siblings?
Yeah, no, we definitely we got along pretty good, thank God. But I definitely would choose my battles. Maybe start a little bit of a ruckus between my other sisters, start some fights from the outside, saying so and so said this. So maybe that's how I learned to play a little bit of mind games that I also play in the field. But no, it was definitely a great situation, and I have one sister who's pretty much the same age as me. One is 5 years older, and one is 3 years younger. So it's been kind of cool to kind of see them grow up to the different stages, and see them get along as well as. I don't know. It's just been great. It's better than I thought it was when I was 10 and wanted to tackle a brother. But yeah, it was a great situation. So.
And Gavin, I want to ask you about something that came up a couple of weeks ago, where there were reports that you had entered the transfer portal. Just where are you currently with your plans for your football future? And if you can talk about how the recruiting process is a little bit different this time around, if you've already started that.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I was kind of it was one of those things where in March you're like, oh well, this isn't going to carry on over to fall. We won't really think about it getting canceled, and there's a lot of things that I still wanted to do at Drake, and it was it's a place that's been so special to me, and the people are so special, and it was important for me to see that out and to kind of have that be taken away. Definitely, I'll be honest, there was a few days where I was just really down and I wasn't sure what was next, and the thought of not being able to play at Drake still hurts a lot, to be honest with you. But kind of just taking a step back and thinking rationally, I just know that it's in my best interest to kind of further my education while I'm in this time. Like obviously, there's not a lot going on right now, so my plan is to attend grad school somewhere. I just thought it made sense if I'm going to be playing football, sticking around and play, use my eligibility up, that it makes sense to find a place that I can further my education as well as play high quality football. So just getting over the sting of not being able to put that Drake blue on again hurts. But the recruiting process, it has been interesting. You kind of forget over the years, because it's been like 4 years since being recruited. What that all looks like. But so right away we were figured out some eligibility issues because Drake's not scholarship. There's not athletic scholarship, so you got to pay your own way, which is definitely something that you want to get school paid for, but it's definitely taught me a lot. How to work hard, and you got to work some odd jobs and stuff like that to make it through. But it's definitely been weird, and I'm excited. I actually decided to wait till the winter to transfer. So I'm just going to finish up the degree, so there's no eligibility issues or waivers. So I'm going to get my degree, graduate from Drake, which was a plan, and then see if I can't find a place to play out my last year of eligibility. So.
And then Gavin, what type of player would a program be getting in you? Because you're back-to-back first team all Pioneer League defensively. So what do you bring to a defense?
Yeah, I think I bring it's kind of corny and cliche. I just bring effort. And I think that obviously, it's easy to, be on the field and just keep relentlessly going to play after play. But I think that carries on off the field too, as far as training and, working on your craft. So I definitely pride myself on, I spend a lot of random nights alone on the field, just working on moves, as well as, waking up early and running hills that I don't feel like running. But I just think it's going to be a gritty guy who's always going to keep coming and also be a leader for the other guys. So,
Gavin, I want to move towards something that's a little bittersweet for you. The Drake team had the chance to go to China and take place in a couple of football and non-football events, finishing it off with a game against a Chinese all-star team. But unfortunately, you were back in Iowa finishing up an internship, and you did not get to make that trip. But maybe if you could just share for our listeners what your teammates have told you about that experience and just overall what it did for them.
Yeah, definitely stung a little bit, but that's the perks of Drake University, getting a chance to get a pretty good internship in a city like Des Moines. But man, it's almost like I did go on the trip because all the stories I heard. I remember when they got back, I actually just got back from my shift. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and we probably stayed up till 2 o'clock, and they were just telling stories on stories of playing in China, what the culture was like, and walking the Great Wall, and as well as just talking to players after the game in China. So definitely was something that I think opened up a lot of my teammates' eyes, and because a lot of people haven't left, the Midwest on our team. A lot of people from Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois. So just to kind of get the chance to hear how much that meant to them, to meet the people that they met, to see the things that they've only seen in pictures, was definitely powerful. And I think, it's only right that I make it over there eventually and kind of do the things that they got to do, because it definitely changes their perspective on things.
And like you said, Drake affords a lot of opportunities, and some of those opportunities came on the field with some top-notch non-conference matchups, including a battle with Iowa State where you had them up against the ropes, took them down to the final moments of the game, unfortunately lost a heartbreaker. But Gavin, take me through the emotions of that day, being in the Iowa State stadium and flirting with victory. Just recap that day for me if you could.
Yeah, wow, that's definitely a day that still, I remember vividly. I actually remember getting the news that we were playing them. It was very exciting, but I think it surprised a lot of people that were watching, obviously, but it did. I mean, I full well went into that stadium, and I expected to win. And that was just a special team that year. And that's kind of the culture we've tried to maintain. But walking, especially as a defense, when we walked into that stadium, we knew that the expectation was to give up 0 points. The expectation was to give up 0 yards every single play, because that's just what we play with during the year, because we were a top 10 defense that year in the FCS. But so I'll be honest, though, looking across and seeing Hakeem Butler and David Montgomery, you're kind of oh, wow, I've seen him on TV. I've heard of him. But to be honest with you, after the game, I wasn't sitting in my locker smiling man, that was cool, we almost had him. I was pissed. That was a game that we should have won, and I feel like, I'm a pretty competitive guy, so I'm thinking, what could I have done more? Definitely kind of disassociating myself from that. I'm able to look back now and say yeah, it was a really cool experience. Definitely a good game, and thanks to Iowa State for having us. But like I said, the competitor in me still wishes I could go back and maybe find a way to win that game. But definitely a great experience overall.
You mentioned something in that answer about being a competitor and wanting to win. So I want to ask you about a situation in game where if you get the green light on a 3rd and long situation to go get the quarterback, what does that competitor in you do? What is, your preferred spot to line up on the line? Are you looking for something pre-snap? Do you have a certain move that you would want to use that you like in that situation? Is there a counter that comes with it? So now I know that was 4 or 5 questions in one. So Gavin, I guess what I'm asking you is, if you have the green light to get the quarterback, how are you getting there?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something that I feel out, if that makes sense. So, if I'm going up against a really aggressive guard, because I primarily play a 3-tech and some 2 or a shade. If I feel leaning, I might go push pull. If I know he's on his back, I'm gonna bull rush him into the ground. If I see him leaning left or right, I'm either gonna counter or give him a jab, club arm over. So it's definitely something I'm gonna think about. It's 3rd and long. I'm like, okay, we were in a situation similar to this. If it was 2nd and long, or it was 3rd and long, last quarter, what was he doing? Maybe that third and long, I'm setting something up. But if it's a perfect situation, I'm feeling all, I like to, hit an outside spin if I'm feeling real. If it's third and real long, I know for sure they're going to be passing or the screen or something. I'm definitely going to hit some sort of spin. But I definitely do, I like a jab club arm over. I got a cross chop I'm working on. So, yeah, I definitely have been trying to, further my craft. And saw a video of Von Miller talking about Bruce Smith teaching him some things. And he said you need 3 moves. If you have 3 moves, then you can't be stopped. So I feel pretty confident in a few of my moves. I'm trying to, learn more and more and kind of perfect those moves. So,
Gavin, earlier you mentioned something about effort being what you brought to a defense. Now, I want to ask you what you think is the most important trait for a D lineman to have if they want to be successful. And a lot of people will argue that effort can make or break a defensive lineman. But in your opinion, Gavin, what's that trait?
Yeah, effort is definitely a big thing. I think honestly, a lot of it is, the more competitive football you play, it's going to be kind of having a short memory. Just to be honest with you, if you're playing competitive football, the guy across from you is no slouch. So definitely when I play against a team like Iowa State or South Dakota State, you're not going to win every single rep. So I think being able to recognize, oh, here's the situation, here's what happened. I got doubled, and they got a little push on me. Okay. Where was my placement? What did I do wrong? And then, okay, how can I do it better next time? But then also, you got to have a cue to kind of flip the switch that, okay, we can reflect on this when we get to the sideline after this drive, but it's the next play. So I think if you have effort and you have a short memory, and honestly, if you have a good game plan and watch a ton of film, you should be okay, no matter who you are. So
let's go ahead and let's slide over to some non-football questions, Gavin. And let's really give the people a chance to get to know you. So let's start off with a question that's really going to put you out there. What's your biggest fear?
Ah, man, I'm trying to think. It might be heights. I never thought it was, but I went to Niagara Falls a few years ago. That was something that I was like, man, I didn't realize how scared I was, and definitely, when I'm hiking or something like that, if I look forward, I'm having a blast. But if I look down, I'm like, oh no. So if I had to go with anything, it'd probably be heights. I know it's basic. I know a lot of people say that, but it's definitely that.
But what's the cutoff? So, can you get on a step stool and put, the tree topper on a Christmas tree? Can you do that? 7-8 feet? Is that good or no?
Yeah, I could do that. I can do that. I'm definitely not that scared. And I live on, the 4th floor of an apartment complex, and that's not too bad. So I think it's got to be a little bit crazier than that, but
all right. And let's ask you a question about something near campus. If you were to open a restaurant near campus, what would you be known for? Would you be a wing spot, a breakfast place? What would you be known for?
I've actually thought about this already because every Saturday, if you're not up at 6 a.m., you're not getting a seat in Des Moines at a breakfast place every Saturday, Sunday. So I'm opening another breakfast spot because first of all, it would be profitable because literally everyone is trying to get breakfast at that time, and there's never any spots. And I'm just a big breakfast food guy, I guess. So I probably have to go with that.
All right. What would be the signature meal? Would it be an omelet? Would it be a breakfast sandwich?
I probably have to go. I'm a big skillet guy. Maybe a Mexican skillet or something like that. Some jalapenos in there, add a little twang to it.
All right. You can sign me up for one of those. I'll take that. Let's go ahead. Let's slide over to your Twitter real quick because you're actually a really good follow. Go ahead and give a follow at Gavin Dineen if you haven't already. Filled with sports takes and commentary. And I want to ask you, if you were given the opportunity to sit down with 3 current athletes, one from the NBA, one from the NFL, and one from MLB, and you were just given the opportunity to talk life and sports and just really everything and anything in between, get to pick their brains, who would those 3 people be?
Yeah, I think starting first off in the NBA, growing up in Chicago, and Derrick Rose, losing to him every single year and my heart being broken every single time. I had a lot of hatred for LeBron. But over the years, it's just he's so consistent. So it'd have to be him because, seeing him, grow up as a 16-year-old with the biggest hype on his shoulders, and never making a mistake, doing everything the right way. Being a great voice and activist, not being afraid to speak up, as well as just being absolutely obsessed with his craft, staying healthy and focusing on his body. It's definitely someone I'd want to pick his brain and see what he has, because he definitely has a lot of knowledge. As far as football, I think I'd have to go with Aaron Donald, just so he can tell me how the hell he does what he does, because he's an absolute animal. He plays inside, plays a lot of 3-tech, so that's definitely someone if I could just pick his brain and see, what cues he uses to use a certain move or what the situation is down a distance, that'd definitely be a valuable conversation, even if it's only like 5 minutes. And then Major League Baseball, I probably have to go with Tim Anderson, shortstop for the White Sox. I'm a big White Sox fan if you go through my Twitter. So seeing the way he's kind of he was a first round draft pick, but people kind of just thought he was an athlete, he was going to be a decent player, and he's won the AL batting title last year. And just seeing how obsessed he is with his craft, and he's got a mentality of making baseball fun, which is pretty cool. He's kind of challenging the norms of what's the unwritten rules, and he's not afraid to be a little excited and add a little flair, kind of like what I talked about earlier with baseball is kind of a little monotonous, and people say it's boring, but you watch him play, he kind of gives you the similar vibes, running out of a tunnel with the crowd screaming. So I think those would be the three.
What would you consider to be your most unusual talent?
My friends always make fun of me for this, but it's probably just I know like a lot of random players on random teams. Like my friend will ask me like, who's the replacement kicker if the Bears kicker goes down, or like where did so and so go to college? So probably just random sports facts, something like that.
Can I put you on the spot?
Yeah, I mean now I'm nervous. I don't know what's gonna happen here, but yeah, go ahead.
All right, fun. Then I'll give you an easy one to start off. Where did Tom Brady go to college?
Michigan. That one was easy.
Okay. Now, can we go baseball, basketball, football?
Yeah, let's do it.
Where is Mike Trout from? What's his home state?
New Jersey, I believe, right?
Yeah. All right, there you go. So we got a baseball, we got a football, and now I'll give you a basketball. Which NBA point guard, who is also head of the Players Union, scored 61 points in a high school game to honor their grandfather after their grandfather passed away?
I want to say Kyrie, right?
Chris Paul.
Oh, I thought the Players Union, you threw me off there.
Hey, but you know what? 2 out of 3 is not bad. I'm a junkie like you, so I can always go into the back pocket and try to get one that'll stump you. But you did a pretty good job right there. Now let's go ahead. And what is something that people consider to be odd or weird that you recommend everyone tries at least once?
Let's see. Odd or weird? Man. I'm a pretty boring guy. I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to think what are the weird things that I do. I'm a big smelling salts guy.
Really?
So I like to keep the intensity up. I obviously use them for lifting, but last year I felt like I was drinking too much coffee, so I'd wake up in the morning, crack a smelling salt, and get the day going.
Oh wow! So you're about that life.
Yeah. So my friends in craft are always drinking coffee, so I was like, all right, how can I do this without having too much caffeine? So I just got a short burst to get out of bed bright and early. So I've definitely taken a break, over the quarantine. I've been doing it without the salt, but maybe thinking of that, maybe that's where I need to get back on track.
Absolutely. And before we get out of here, Gavin, are there any final words that you want to share with our listeners?
No, I just really appreciate you having me on. It's always good to talk ball and, just kind of chop it up, talk sports. Like I said, I'm a big sports guy. So appreciate guys like you that, like to do this as their career and their free time, and try to, get more people that are all in on sports and kind of spread the knowledge of a lot of people. So yeah, I just appreciate you reaching out, and this was fun.
Hey, I appreciate those words, Gavin. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, for Gavin Dineen, I am Craig Forrestall. Stay safe and be easy.
Hey everybody, Craig Forstall. Thanks for tuning in and listening to another episode of That Sports Guys podcast. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at that_sports_guy to catch all the latest updates and podcast episodes. Until next time, stay safe and be easy.